Good morning. I'm Carlton Sharp, pastor of Faith Christian Center Church right here in Beaumont, Texas. And we're here on what's happening in our neighborhood. And today we have a special guest, Mr. Marcelo Molfino. Welcome, Mo.
Thank you, Pastor.
Hey, listen, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Born and raised in Northern Virginia, Washington, D.C. area. Moved here to Texas in '99, and been here ever since. This is home to me now. I've worked for the sheriff's office in the jail, went to Port Arthur PD, spent around 13 years there, and then I've been at the district attorney's office working for our district attorney since January of 2015.
So now you're in the investigation department, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So, Mo, listen, we see the news that's happening. We see what's going on in our community. So you tell us what's happening.
I think, unfortunately, you can't put a blame, you can't put a label. I think the violence and what has led to that is horrible right now for a small community like ours. But that doesn't have to stay that way. You see the news and you get about 50% because they don't really know what's going on. Speaking with pastors and speaking with different people in the community, some of the meetings have been going on. People are starting to educate themselves as to what's really happening, where, why. Seeing that some of these kids really don't have a place to go.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest thing we need to do is we need to emphasize the Boys and Girls Club. You've talked to Sandra.
Yeah.
We now have a new captain in Beaumont,
Yeah.
Captain Marbles.
Yeah.
Amazing guy. Not everybody has that perfect life, and it's not a rich thing, a poor thing, a black thing, or a white thing. Unfortunately, in that building that I work in with those courtrooms, you've got rich people, poor people, people of all walks of life that have to come deal with their criminal consequences.
It's about decisions, that people are making. I mean, like you say, it's not about race. It's not about economic status. It's about decisions.
You've got rich people that are addicts, and you've got poor people that are addicts, and you've got rich people that make bad decisions and poor people. The biggest thing for us, I think, as Beaumont or Jefferson County, we got to start young. The things that these kids are getting into nowadays. I mean, when I go around and talk to these schools and we speak with different, people that we speak with, these kids have these phones, these smartphones, and the things they're looking at. And let's be honest, I'm 41 years old. When I watched TV at 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night when I was a kid, the terms and the topics and the subject matter that was on is not what is on now.
Right.
So there's topics that maybe my 9 or 10-year-old, I believe, shouldn't be watching, and it may be a commercial, maybe a certain ad for a certain thing that we're not ready to discuss. But society has pushed this on us to now where our 9 and 10-year-olds want to talk about topics that maybe we're not ready to discuss.
And Mo, I was talking to a young man just the other day, and he was saying that he's getting his information from YouTube. Mm-hmm. They're watching how the lifestyle of others, and they're trying to emulate those.
You can YouTube search anything. I mean, there's certain topics that let's say on an investigation I want to look at. And believe it or not, YouTube. I mean, I can find all kinds. These virtual reality, unfortunately, if you can't see it with these youngsters, It didn't happen. So they want to prove it to people. They want to push it out there as soon as it happens. Same thing with Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. But we've got to somehow find a way to say, hey, look, technology is great, but let's get back to basics.
Right.
Let's learn how to speak to one another. Let's learn how to look someone in the eye. Let's learn how to shake hands. Let's learn how your word means something. Take bullying to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
When you can take a video or a picture of someone being bullied and then send it out to thousands of people, it's different than what just was in the schoolhouse. So as parents, as educators, as law enforcement, we've got to realize these kids have an aura about them that we don't understand. We've got to educate ourselves to better educate them.
Now, Mo, when you look at what's happening now, the past few weeks, past few months, are you seeing an age group of kids that are involved in this activity?
I wish I could tell you yes, but no. Some of the stuff starting middle school, all the way to young 20-year-olds, late 20s. The problem is these younger kids are trying to emulate the older kids. I mean, you talk about YouTube. You watch a video about a certain song or a gun or a drug, and then all of a sudden these kids are emulating it. You've got these kids holding guns and drugs the same way that the video was. So I think on a whole we need to to really look at what our kids are looking at, what they're watching, entertainment, and I wouldn't even call some of that stuff entertainment. My son tells me he's the only 12-year-old that doesn't have a smartphone. I told him he lives in the wrong house. But,
Hey, what you say, boy, you got a flip phone, huh?
but I mean, it's sad. I always tell, because unfortunately sometimes when I deal with parents, it's after something bad has happened. And they say, but look, I did this, I did that. We went to church. We taught. It's not what might be happening in your home. It's once they walk out that door, who they're with, who they're talking to, who they get in a car with. So the decision making starts from the minute they decide to ride with somebody.
Yeah.
Or to hang out with somebody.
Yeah.
And I tell parents, know who your kids talk to. It's your house. If that's the phone that you're paying the bill on, it's your phone.
Right.
I'd rather know beforehand than after. And that way you can make a plan to address things.
So what are you doing now with the uptick of violence that's going on right now?
I can tell you this. The police in Beaumont cannot work any harder than they have. The community needs to realize, for example, in the last month or so with all the shootings and unfortunately the killings, you've got officers that miss their own kids' birthday parties.
Right.
Because they're that professional. They know that case, time is of the essence. But the violence has got to stop. These youngsters have got to learn to deal with problems talking just like we are.
Right.
Or
right.
even if they want to squabble, if they want to box like people used to box. But the guns and the knives and the other thing that's scary, I'll be honest with you, Pastor, is the amount of firepower these guys have. The kind of guns. We're not talking about a little .38 revolver. Some of these guys have some serious firepower. And I don't think it's a police problem. I think it's a community problem in the sense of somebody knows that person.
Right, right.
If your grandson or your son or your stepson or your cousin or your neighbor is involved in certain things, that affects you too. Because if the rival side comes over to shoot up his house and you happen to be cutting the grass, or a bullet comes through a window and hits your house, that's just as much your problem.
Yeah.
So I tell people, pick up the phone and call. Crime Stoppers is there for a reason. It's anonymous. You can call and say, hey, I really don't want to be involved, but so-and-so lives at this house or drives this car, and I know they're riding around with this assault rifle or this gun or these. That's what Crime Stoppers does. It feeds that information to the proper agency.
Right.
And it
anonymously.
Exactly. And it allows people to feel like, because the other thing is, you make that Crime Stoppers call, it gets fed down the line to the right detective or agency, and then all of a sudden you might have an officer come out or a search warrant be served, and that person's held accountable. That neighborhood is then cleaned up, and that person, I would hope, would say, well, nobody knows it, but I took stock in this neighborhood. Or I took stock in what's going on around here, and things are a little bit quieter. Things are a little bit better.
Now, are you seeing? Because part of it, I believe, is the breakdown of the moral fabric of our society with the family. Are you seeing more single parent homes or no parent homes that these kids are coming out of?
Single parent homes, no parent homes, unfortunately, is a reality. Teachers are having to do more. Teachers, we send our kids to school so teachers can teach them, but teachers have to be social workers. Pastors are social workers. Police officers, And the thing is this, everyone always wants to say, well, you know what, that's
somebody else's problem.
And that's where we have to realize, if we're dealing with a certain young person that you deal with in church, I deal with, in the community on patrol or whatever, we all need to get together and say, hey, well, Johnny, something's going on with him. And you may be able to do certain things with him that I can't, and I'd be able to do certain things with him that you can't, but together, collaboratively, little Johnny may come out of that. Or little Johnny may come out and say, you know what, this is why I'm doing this. This is why I'm behaving this way. Is it an anger issue? I always tell people this. If you get a young kid who is acting out violently, irrationally, that is something that is taught. He's seeing it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Might be in a home, might be in a neighborhood. You got some of these kids that are out in the street, midnight, 1, 2 in the morning, and they're 9, 10, 11, 12 years old.
Wow.
Unfortunately, nothing good. What's the old saying? Nothing good happens after what, 10 o'clock?
Yeah. That's about right, no more.
But there's enough places in play. You've got Spindletop, what Frank Middleton and those guys are doing with the anti-bullying and the anti-drug programs. We all the left hand needs to talk to the right, sit down and say, okay, how are we going to handle this? How are we going to do this? The school district needs help. That's another touchy topic, you know, unfortunately,
Yeah.
in this community. But at the end of the day, our kids go to school to learn, and we have to give them the best package available to make themselves the best person.
Now, I don't want people to think that just because they're from a single parent home that, you know, that is doomsday for them, because I came out of a single parent home with 7 kids. And, you know, but the difference was there was a neighborhood behind us that, you know, if I messed up, Mr. Joe down the street, Miss Smith down the street, I got it all the way home, and then when I got home, I got it again.
Right, right. That's the whole other side of where society is going. The blinders go up. You know, neighbors used to know each other. You don't have to eat dinner with each other every day, but look out for each other. If somebody's up in age and you see the yard not being taken care of, to me, that's our duty to go say, hey, Miss Jones or Mr. Jones, can I get your yard for you? Well, you know, they may have a family member that's promised them to come by, and then you find out they don't have any visitors. You may make a new friend. You may put a smile on somebody's face. You know what I mean? But we have to reach out in order to know what's going on.
Hey, listen. I know our time is winding down for this segment, but on tomorrow, we're going to come back with more again, and we're going to talk about some remedies on what we can do in order to help solve this problem in our community, because it's going to take a community effort in order to get this thing fixed. And it's not going to be a one-day, overnight thing that's going to happen. It's going to take some time for us to get this thing right. So I want to thank Mo for coming, but listen, he's coming back tomorrow. So listen, you come back and watch tomorrow so we can give you some ideas on how we can resolve this issue in our community. I want to thank him for coming today. I want to thank you for joining us today on What's Happening in Our Neighborhood, and we will see you next time on our broadcast.